I can't stand that old hag. I'll just stay at a hotel.
Same here. I'll go with that.
That's just awful. What do they think of my mom? They can't even tolerate living with her for just 3 days. If my mom knew about this, I can't imagine how heartbroken she would be. This is too much. It's just cruel. Anger started bubbling up inside me. Those two are always so arrogant and only ever think about themselves. At this point, I might as well teach them a serious lesson. I immediately sprang into action. My name is Michelle, and I'm 43 years old. I work as a sales administrator at a trading company. At 29, I met John through a mutual friend and got married. We found a cheap house, bought it, and the next year, we welcomed our daughter, Jessica. By all accounts, we seemed like a perfectly happy family. But now, 13 years later, things couldn't be more different. John and Jessica leave all the household chores to me and act like they don't care. Even when I try to talk to them, they rarely respond, and they won't even look at me. Hey, John, I'm tied up cooking, so could you clean the bathroom? Hey, are you listening? Forget it. Oh, Jessica, can I ask you a favor? Could you clean the bathroom for me instead? Jessica just walked past me without saying a word. Both of them completely ignore me. Why has our family become so cold and distant? More than sadness, I felt anger building up, and I couldn't help but sigh every day. My frustrations with John are endless. He seems to think it's normal for men to lounge around at home without lifting a finger. I've brought up the topic of sharing household chores countless times since we were younger, but he's always been uncooperative.
Because it wouldn't look good, okay? If people at work found out I was doing chores at home, they'd probably laugh at me.
Are you serious right now? You're not joking? I can't believe this. What century are you living in? John works for a small security company. The pay is low, and the job involves night shifts, which makes it pretty tough. John has never been able to settle in one place and has switched jobs repeatedly. He's worked at printing companies, cleaning services, seafood processing plants, and logistics companies. The one thing they all had in common was the low pay. He earns less than half of what I do. I'm not saying that earning more makes someone better, but it's been hard for me to ignore. I'm stuck handling all the chores and parenting. Can't you pitch in a little? There are plenty of quick things you could do, like taking out the trash, washing the dishes, or cleaning the bathroom.
There you go again. Don't you ever get tired of this? I'm exhausted. Security work is hard, you know? It's cold, I'm on my feet all day, and I have to stay alert. Can't I just relax when I'm home?
Being a sales administrator at a trading company is tough too, but somebody has to do it, and that's why I also handle the chores and parenting. We're supposed to be partners. Why can't you work with me?
Oh, for crying out loud, enough already. Both of you, just be quiet. I can't hear the TV at all.
I'd blow up with frustration and start arguing with John, and Jessica would chime in with complaints. Embarrassingly, this has become our everyday life. It's exhausting. I should be able to live in a caring family and enjoy peaceful days. John is the perfect example of a passive, irresponsible husband. Even when I was sick with a fever and stuck in bed, he didn't step up. Instead of making his own meal, he came into the bedroom and said,
Hey, what's for dinner?
"Can't you see I'm sick? I have a high fever and no energy. Just leave me alone and make do on your own."
What the hell? You're so irresponsible. It's your job to make dinner.
"I never agreed to that. Stop dumping everything on me and take care of yourself." In the end, John and Jessica went out to eat that night.
I haven't had steak in forever. It was amazing.
I still remember them saying that, almost as if to spite me. Jessica was in a great mood after filling up on her favorite steak. Apparently, it was much better than my cooking.
Dad, you're the best. Let's go out for steak again, just the two of us.
Sure thing. I'll take you again.
Oh, by the way, there's something I want to buy. Can I get some more allowance?
All right, Jessica. But don't waste it, okay?
Thank you, Dad.
Jessica jumped for joy. John was using food and money to win over our teenage daughter. Even though he rarely deposits anything into our joint account, he freely hands out allowance to Jessica. I'm the one who pays for the utilities, insurance, groceries, and household items. John spends his meager paycheck on his golf hobby, drinks, and of course, on keeping Jessica happy. Living like this, I can't help but feel the weight of unfairness and inequality. And Jessica isn't blameless either. Sure, she's an only child and has been spoiled, but that doesn't mean this is excusable. I've raised her with discipline. Still, it feels like she's being influenced by John's bad example. To Jessica, John probably seems like he's just living smart, even though he's actually just lazy. I need to make sure Jessica doesn't embarrass herself when she steps into the real world someday. Jessica, could you help out? Clear the table and set the plates, please.
Why me? Can't you just do it like always?
Jessica, you're trying to take the easy way out. You can't just depend on me all the time. You'll end up like your dad.
And what's so bad about that? Why can't I be like Dad?
I saw this as a good opportunity to explain how much John's behavior has hurt me as his partner. Unfortunately, my words didn't seem to get through to her at all. In the end, she just laughed through her nose.
No offense, but maybe you're the one depending too much, Mom.
What do you mean?
I mean, I think most moms out there are working harder than anyone else in their homes. That's just how the world works, isn't it?
Well, I don't think that's right. Families are supposed to help each other out. It's not fair for everything to fall on me. Don't you agree, Jessica?
Not really.
Jessica looked completely indifferent, acting like it wasn't her problem at all. This is exactly the part of her that reminds me so much of John. Sure, she's just a kid, but her selfishness makes it impossible to reason with her. Jessica, when John is short on cash, turns to me, demanding this and that. If she doesn't get what she wants or things don't go her way, she glares at me and complains.
This is the worst. Why is Mom so stingy? Other kids' moms are way nicer.
Don't compare me to other moms.
Well, all my friends at school think it's weird too. They say having such a stingy mom isn't normal.
What are you even talking about with your friends? You shouldn't be bad-mouthing your parents in public. I've spent my busy days taking care of Jessica, driving her to and from school activities, packing her lunches, attending parent-teacher meetings. But not once has Jessica ever thanked me. Instead, she's more attached to John, who doesn't lift a finger and even thanks him. It's disheartening, frustrating, and makes my unappreciated efforts feel unbearable. Both John and Jessica make me feel this way. But even I have someone on my side. My mom, Laura, is that person. A former middle school teacher, my mom has always been my role model and the kind of woman I aspire to be. However, her strict nature doesn't sit well with John or Jessica. Whenever I visit her, they always find some excuse not to come along. This year was no different. When I visited alone, I apologized to my mom. Sorry, I couldn't bring them. John and Jessica kept saying they had work or sports practice and just wouldn't come.
It's fine. To those two, I'm probably just a nagging old lady. Oh, by the way, last time Jessica said something that stuck with me. Older people have such outdated ways of thinking. It's so annoying.
How rude of her. I'm so sorry, Mom. It's my fault for not raising her better.
It's not all on you, Michelle. People are born with certain personalities. Maybe what they need is a big event that shakes up their thinking.
It's true. Some people don't learn until they face a harsh reality. Perhaps John and Jessica need something that forces them to open their eyes. After that, Mom and I talked about renovating her old house, which had been showing its age. Little did I know that this renovation project would eventually lead to a disastrous future. 2 months later, the renovation plans became more concrete. The house was built when my dad was young, who died of illness about 10 years ago. It's quite old, so she wants to do a full renovation, including the plumbing. I completely agreed with her. The issue was where Mom would stay while the contractors worked. Mom and I had several phone calls, slowly sorting out the details and making concrete plans. Why doesn't your mom stay with us during the renovation? We've got a room we've been using for storage, but we could clear it out and it would work just fine.
But John and Jessica, I'm sure they'd hate the idea. If she's here for the whole renovation, that's quite a long time for us all to live together.
True. How about starting with just 3 days? See how it goes living together for a short time. The idea was to try living together for a few days and gauge John and Jessica's reactions. If it seemed impossible, we could come up with another solution. At the time, I thought 3 days would be manageable. After all, John is an adult and Jessica is 14, so I thought they could tolerate it for a short while. But I was wrong. John and Jessica disliked my mom far more than I had realized. One day, when I mentioned that my mom would be staying with us, their reactions were painfully obvious.
What did you just say?
I said my mom will be staying here for 3 days, so please be nice to her.
No way. I can't stand that old hag. I'll just stay at a hotel.
Same here. I'll go with Dad.
Their rejection was intense. It made me feel really sad. Sure, my mom is strict. She values rules, manners, and doing things the proper way. But she never says anything without good reason. She only speaks up because she cares. Isn't your reaction a bit much? My mom doesn't enjoy being strict. It's not easy for her either. She doesn't want things to be tense, but people make it hard for her not to speak up.
So you're saying it's our fault? Look, Not everyone can live up to your standards. Who would want to live with a nagging old hag anyway?
That's right. Grandma is seriously annoying. Mom, you're already bad enough with your nagging. If Grandma moves in, it'd be unbearable.
What a cruel thing to say. My mom is also incredibly thoughtful. She gave us so much support when we got married and when Jessica was born. She's offered advice and guidance countless times, always with our best interests at heart. And yet, John and Jessica could treat her with such disrespect. Seeing their outright rude attitudes, I felt deeply disappointed in them. Fine, forget it. It's pointless to talk to you two. Do whatever you want.
Like you have to tell us, right, Jessica?
Yeah. Go ahead and live with that old hag on your own.
John and Jessica burst out laughing. It was just too much. I couldn't take it anymore. After packing their bags, the two happily left for a hotel. Watching their cheerful departure, I wasted no time taking action. Those two, so utterly inconsiderate, needed a serious wake-up call. How could they be so cruel? It's unbelievable. That night, with John and Jessica gone, I made up my mind. I'm done living a life troubled by those two. It's time to clear the slate. I called my mom to share my decision. And that's how I feel. I've had enough.
So, you've made up your mind. All right. Do what you need to do. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Thanks, Mom. Actually, how about we take a trip? I don't like the idea of letting John and Jessica be the only ones having fun.
That sounds good. It's been ages since we went on a trip together.
That night, while staying at our favorite hotel with a pool, while relaxing in the room with my mom, I received a call from John. He and Jessica were supposed to be at a hotel somewhere. What could he possibly want now? I didn't feel like answering, but since there was something I needed to tell him, I picked up. Hello?
Hey, is the old hag there yet? Just checking how things are going.
You sound like you've been drinking quite a bit. Is Jessica with you? There's something I need to tell both of you about the storage unit number.
What? Storage unit? What nonsense are you talking about?
He wasn't even listening. It was another reminder of how little John valued me. I didn't even have the energy to sigh anymore. I was completely fed up. I can't do this anymore. John, let's get a divorce.
Are you crazy? What's gotten into you all of a sudden?
Why are you so surprised? Is it really so shocking that I'd ask for a divorce?
Of course, it's shocking. What the hell are you thinking?
He seemed genuinely taken aback. I hadn't expected that kind of reaction. In other words, John probably has no idea how much pain he's caused me. Honestly, I'm shocked. Do you really not understand why I'd want a divorce?
Well, I wouldn't say I don't understand, but...
Exactly. You never help with the housework. You don't contribute to the joint account. It's only natural I'd want a divorce.
But what about Jessica? If we divorce, who's going to take care of her? Are you just going to abandon parenting?
I was surprised to hear such a statement from John. It didn't sound like something someone who had barely been involved in raising Jessica during her most demanding years would say. By now, I had no intention of taking Jessica with me. She could live with John. I'm completely fed up with both of you. I can't deal with this anymore. Go ahead, live however you want. I'll be doing the same.
Wait a second. You're just going to dump everything on me?
You've been dumping all the housework and parenting on me this whole time. So what are you even talking about?
Well, that's because housework and parenting are a woman's job.
There it was again. The outdated notion that housework and parenting are solely a woman's responsibility. Men working outside to earn money, while women take care of the house and kids. That kind of division of roles is something I can agree with.
You see, that's how it's supposed to be.
But what's our reality? Both of us have to work outside the home to make ends meet. At least in our household, that's the truth. John and I both have to work outside the home to make a living. If we're both working, it only makes sense to share the housework and parenting equally. I can't understand why such a simple concept is so hard for him to grasp. My anger comes from being forced to endure an unfair environment for so long. Also, both you and Jessica have hurt my mom without a second thought, and I'm angry about that too.
Well, that's because the old hag. No, I mean Laura is so naggy.
I've told you before, it's because you keep doing things that need to be corrected. Passing the blame is just your way of avoiding responsibility. Why don't you take a hard look at yourself and reflect? John's basic attitude toward life was the problem. He wouldn't even wash his hands after coming home or clear his dishes after eating. Years ago, my mom had called him out on these things at her house.
For Jessica's sake, you need to act like a responsible parent.
That's when John started referring to my mom as a nagging old hag. My mom's concern for Jessica versus John's thoughtlessness. I believe John is the one at fault. Unable to come up with a counter-argument, John eventually cursed under his breath and hung up. After that, he ignored my calls and didn't reply to any messages. I had wanted to talk to Jessica as well, but it seemed I'd have to let that go for now. That night, I enjoyed some good wine with my mom, imagining the shocked faces of John and Jessica when they returned home. As I was unpacking, John called. It seemed they had arrived back at the house. The moment I answered, he started yelling at me.
What the hell is going on? The house is gone. Explain this.
Just as it looks, I had it demolished and cleared. That house was in my name, so I can do whatever I want with it.
Still, what about my stuff and Jessica's? Where's all our stuff?
I already told you about the storage unit and gave you the code. Did you forget? All of John and Jessica's belongings were safely stored in a rental unit. It was up to them to figure out their next steps and move their things to a new place. Sensing John's confusion, I brought up our divorce again. Let's finalize the divorce soon. I'm truly done living with you two. Jessica can stay with you. She probably doesn't want to live with me anyway.
You can't be serious. Do you really think I can raise Jessica on my own?
That wasn't my concern. After all the burdens they had placed on me, this was their payback. If John and Jessica end up living together, he might finally understand some of the struggles I've been through. After all, one of them or both will have to take care of the housework. No matter what they say, I have no intention of ever going back to being their housemaid. After making that perfectly clear, John finally seemed to accept the reality.
Fine. Have it your way. Jessica and I will live on our own. We don't need you. We'll be just fine.
Great. Go ahead and do that. At that moment, Jessica's voice cut in.
Wait a second.
It seemed she had grabbed John's phone.
You can't just decide this without me. Me and Dad living alone? Why would it come to that?
Jessica, didn't John tell you? I'm tired of living with you too. That's why I'm moving out. Eventually, I plan to file for divorce as well. Clearing the house was my way of showing my determination. Hearing this, Jessica was already on the verge of tears. She insisted there was no way she could live alone with John.
Isn't that obvious? Dad can't cook. He doesn't clean. He can't do anything. That means I'll have to do everything, right?
It's not that he can't do anything. You two need to sit down and have a proper discussion about how to divide the chores from now on. Jessica burst into tears, wailing about how unfair it all was.
We'll show you. Just watch.
In the background, John was still yelling. Ignoring his ranting, I calmly repeated the code for the storage unit and ended the call without hesitation. It was only 2 weeks later when John came crying to me. By then, I was enjoying life with my mom in a newly rented apartment. We had discussed housework and living expenses thoroughly, and there was no sense of unfairness between us. I was in such a good mood every day that hearing from John was nothing but annoying. What do you want?
Well, I was wondering if you'd consider living together again if you're okay with it.
No way. Absolutely not. I want a divorce, and I'll be sending you the papers, so give me your current address.
Michelle, wait, please just hear me out.
It was clear that John was desperate to avoid a divorce at all costs. I was certain he'd use Jessica as a bargaining chip next. And just as I expected, he started saying exactly what I had anticipated.
I managed to rent a place and Jessica and I are living together, but she says she's at her limit.
Jessica? What does she mean by at her limit?
I don't know. Maybe it's my bad cooking, the small allowance, or whatever else. How am I supposed to understand what's going on in a girl's head?
Stop whining. You two need to have a proper discussion. And just so we're clear, I have no intention of ever getting involved in your lives again. I intended to continue living separately until the divorce was finalized. Hearing the firmness in my voice, John sighed. Then, finally, he apologized.
I'm really sorry. I realize now that I wasn't thinking about you at all. I regret it. Please forgive me.
I understand that you're apologizing, but I don't know what exactly you're apologizing for. Can you be more specific about what you think you did wrong?
Well, not helping with housework, not being involved in parenting much, and bad-mouthing Laura.
That's better. At least you understand some of it now. But just because he apologized didn't mean I was ready to reconcile. Let's set a time to meet in person and talk things over. I made the suggestion. I would decide the time and place. John quietly agreed to my terms. On the day of the meeting, I chose a small, privately owned restaurant as the location. Expecting things might get heated, I asked the manager to seat us in a booth with a partition for privacy. When John and Jessica arrived a bit late, they seemed surprised to see my mom, Laura, sitting next to me.
Laura, it's been a while.
Hi, Grandma.
Both of you, even if it's family, you should respect the agreed time. And feel free to call me an old hag like usual. It suits me just fine.
John and Jessica shrank under my mom's cold words. It seemed neither of them dared to insult her directly to her face. Having my mom present turned out to be the right choice. I intended to let her give them a serious lecture.
John, it seems you've treated Michelle quite poorly. After getting married, did you leave all the housework and parenting to her? How do you think that reflects on you as a man?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Both you and Michelle have jobs and come home tired, right? Even so, you made her handle all the cooking, cleaning, and laundry while you sat around doing nothing. Is that correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Former teachers have a unique presence. Her tone was calm, yet incredibly intimidating. John stared intently at a single spot on the table, looking visibly distressed.
When the topic of me staying for 3 days came up, I heard you said something like, "I can't stand the old hag, so I'll go to a hotel." Was Jessica nearby when you said that?
Yes, she was right there.
Children are deeply influenced by their parents. There's no doubt you've been a bad influence on Jessica. As I've said before, you need to reflect more on your role as a parent.
Yes, I'm sorry.
John apologized. My mom's sharp gaze shifted to Jessica next. Jessica hunched her shoulders. She must have realized that she was about to be scolded.
Jessica, you've made mistakes too. Your mom worked hard at her job, housework, and raising you, yet you sided with your father, who did nothing to help.
I'm sorry.
If you truly feel sorry, apologize to Michelle. I understand it's tempting to take the easy way out, but how do you expect to grow if you give in to that? To make your mother lose faith in you, it takes a lot to reach that point.
Sniffling, Jessica nodded. It seemed the past 2 weeks had taught her a harsh lesson. She now realized living alone with John was impossible.
Get a grip.
Gently scolded by my mom, Jessica turned to me and apologized.
Mom, I'm so sorry. I've really been awful. I know I hurt you so much by siding with Dada all the time. Please forgive me.
I'll apologize again. Michelle, I'm truly sorry for everything up until now. Please forgive me so that...
So that what? I'll just forget everything and move on. My response must have been completely unexpected. Both John and Jessica widened their eyes in shock. If they thought an apology alone would make everything better, they were dead wrong. You feel bad, and you've reflected on your behavior. Fine, I accept your apology. But that doesn't mean I'm going to live with you again. You two can continue living your own lives.
Mom, please. I'll do anything. Just don't abandon me. I can't live with such a useless dad.
Jessica, that's too much. Calling me useless is uncalled for.
But it's true, isn't it? You're underpaid. You're a terrible cook. You never clean. Honestly, you're the worst. Living with you just means I have to do more, and it's exhausting. I can't even focus on studying, and my grades are dropping.
Jessica's anguished outburst silenced John. At least he was mature enough to take her criticism without lashing out.
I'm sorry, Jessica. I've really put you through a lot, and Michelle, I'll apologize to you as many times as it takes. I was wrong to make you so angry that you demolished the house.
Looks like you're finally starting to understand.
And Laura, I owe you an apology too. You were only trying to guide us for our own good, but we ignored you, pushed you away, and said such disrespectful things.
If you truly understand, I have nothing more to say.
John and Jessica both apologized to us. They asked me to drop the divorce and live with them again. From the way they acted during this conversation, they seemed genuinely remorseful and looked like they had learned their lesson. I glanced at my mom, who was sitting next to me. She gave me a nod. I immediately understood what she meant. This wasn't a nod to suggest I should forgive them, but rather a signal not to show any leniency toward their entitled mindset. I didn't need my mom to encourage me. I had no intention of forgiving them so easily myself. Don't even think about it. Live with you two again? Absolutely not. You know exactly how that would end.
What do you mean by that?
We'll change, I promise.
Even if I could forgive you, I won't. You two only talk. You'll forget your so-called reflections in no time. I refuse to go back to the miserable life I had before. Realizing how completely they had lost my trust, John and Jessica both looked deeply disappointed. They kept apologizing, but I stood firm and refused to live with them again. I made it clear that my decision to divorce hadn't changed, leaving John and Jessica in tears, pale-faced with despair. My mom and I left the restaurant, leaving John and Jessica behind. Having reaffirmed my decision to divorce, I felt a newfound sense of clarity and relief. From that point on, everything went according to my plan. After filing for divorce mediation at family court, the divorce was finalized without any issues. Now I could completely sever ties with those two burdensome individuals. The joy I felt was indescribable. From what I've heard, John and Jessica's life together turned out to be nothing short of disastrous. Though they despised each other, they had no choice but to live together, leading to constant arguments. They would hurl insults at each other, and sometimes even throw things during their nightly fights. Naturally, their apartment became a total mess from such a lifestyle. It got so bad that their landlord eventually evicted them. The thought of John and Jessica desperately begging for forgiveness from the landlord amused me. Despite everything, I still received frequent calls from both of them. As usual, they begged for my forgiveness and pleaded to live together again. I wish they'd finally learned that no matter what they say, it's pointless.
Please forgive me, Michelle. I can't live with Jessica anymore. She's unreasonable, spends money recklessly, and doesn't even respect me as her parent.
I'm the one who can't take it anymore. Living in this filthy, smelly apartment with you, a useless father? I can't stand it for another second.
How dare you talk to your father like that?
Shut up. Just disappear, loser.
The argument continued on the other end of the line. I quietly ended the call. They could keep dragging each other down for all I cared. Later, I heard that Jessica fell in with a bad crowd, got pregnant, and dropped out of school. Meanwhile, John, strapped for cash, turned to payday loans and ended up drowning in debt. It's like a textbook example of a downward spiral. They're truly beyond saving. I'm so glad I cut ties with them.
Absolutely. This was the right decision.
Hearing about John and Jessica's fates, my mom and I nodded in agreement. I was relieved to have escaped being dragged down by those two and to have avoided wasting my life. I was filled with gratitude for my decision to divorce. Now, I live peacefully with my mom in our newly renovated family home. Because we know each other so well and have such a good relationship, our daily life is incredibly comfortable and runs smoothly. We both hope to continue living like this for many years to come. My mom and I said so, smiling at each other.